I just came up with the title. I do love it. Thermal Necessity Debriefing the Skunk Kill in the Nut and Fancy Project. That's the title. Says it all. Kind of. Now, you look at the last part, debriefing the skunk kill. You might think, okay, you shot a skunk, big whoop. How hard could it be? Should be pretty straightforward. Whoop-de-doo. I'll just click on the video just because I want to see what Nut and Fancy says about it. I bet 90% of you guys are doing that. Well. There are many lessons learned. Some I will emphasize here. Watch from start to finish. You'll be glad you did. I can pretty much guarantee you will learn something. Because we're not just talking about whacking a skunk. We're talking about system use. I'm a systems guy. Anytime I tabletop something, including an AGM Rattler thermal device, I'm using it in a system. I'm using it as opposed to another system, maybe an AGM Neath digital night vision camera scope that needs an illuminator. All that's in the tabletop reviews. I'm not going to redo that here. You need to watch those tabletop reviews. I will put them below. Please watch them. And if you decide you want to integrate one in your system, use my links. I like it. I'm trying to kill this freaking fly. Got him. Little distraction. Guess I'm still killing things. Okay. Thermal necessity. Debriefing the skunk kill. Let me say this. Now I'm laughing. I'm having a good time, right? Yeah, we are. But I'm not a killing dude. I don't like killing things. I've said that in so many videos. I want to reemphasize it here. Even a skunk. Here's the deal. And maybe you've been living under a rock. Maybe you're one of these guys that dials into the Nut and Fancy Project 4 times a year and you don't really know what the hell's going on. I meet you guys all the time. It's evident to me that you're not really watching. You say you love their project, but there's been some really cool videos I might mention. You got that look in your eye like, oh, uh-huh. Yeah, uh-huh. And I'm like, okay. And that's fine. But let me catch you up. In the AGM Rattler V2 review, I introduced you to a beautiful family of foxes. Red foxes that had moved into one of our shooting locations. So they actually built a den. And I will roll in video right now. Now I have wildlife cameras, alerting wildlife cameras on a Wi-Fi system all over the property. I know what's going on there at any given time. All over, everywhere that I frequent, all camered up. Around the house, cameras everywhere. Around the shooting area, cameras everywhere. I know what's going on. Now, in Wyoming, I do it because I want to know what's going on with the wildlife, mostly because it's so remote. I don't really have to worry about people coming out or nothing, at least not for now. And then we saw this family of foxes come out and dig the hole, the dens. There were 2 dens. And when I found them last year, I was like, what is that? Is that a coyote den? And so I didn't have a camera there initially. I moved it. And sure as heck, we found that it was a male and female fox. Now, Mrs. Nut and Fancy, the boys and I, and friends like TMP or Sean, we just fell in love with the foxes. We were so happy to have them there. Loved having them there. They're very beneficial for that area because there's a ton of ground squirrels. And they cause all kinds of structural problems. And those I also will harvest. I will kill those too because they are proximity pests. That's what I call it. And so they come near structures and they have to be eliminated. But foxes help with that. They help with the voles, the many thousands of mice out there. They're good neighbors, good to have. And how fun would it be to have little baby kit foxes running around out there and we could have watched them grow up together. I was really excited to have that in the project that I could have shown you, just here and there. I don't know if I would have made videos about it, but just maybe in the reviews say, hey, here's our family of foxes. They just kitted out. They had, 6 kits, and it just been fun. Now, as often happens in life, you have this expectation, right? An expectation of something being wonderful, and then it all goes to shit. And that's what happened when the skunks arrived. Now, I have learned in this experience a lot. One of the things I've learned is that skunks can be predatory. I didn't know that. I thought they were just rummaging around like a possum, eating crap, eating this, dead carrion they find. I had no idea that they would actually go into a den where there were baby kit foxes and kill them to take over the den. And that's what happened. Now, in the AGM Rattler V2 review thermal device, of which I will show you here, I said in that video, I made the promise to you guys, that son of a bitch is dead. I said that, and I pulled out the unlock codes right then and there on that animal. I was like, he's gone. One way or another, I will dispatch that skunk and any others I find on the property. Now, maybe you look at this in a macro sense, and you go, nature does what nature does, nothing fancy, you shouldn't interfere. Just let the baby foxes get eaten, destroyed, chasing off the other foxes. I say no. It's property we control. It's not public land. So what I say goes there. That is what it is. I'd much rather have a family of foxes helping me with the rodent problem than a stinky old skunk tearing up the place and honestly stinking up the place. Yeah. Now, in general, I don't have anything against skunks. In other words, if it was not a proximity pest, let's say I'm out in the woods somewhere and I see a skunk. Let's say I have my Glock 17 and the skunk is literally 10 yards away. I'm not going to blast him. He's not doing anything to me. I'm just going to leave him alone. What we have here is a problem skunk. So the why has been answered. He removed the foxes. One, at least maybe two skunks preyed on the foxes. And the foxes you would think would put up a fight. I didn't see that on the camera. They're very gentle. They're very scared. They're very skittish. And they have a hard life. Foxes do not live that long. The ones I saw, sometimes they look like they were eating pretty good, and other times they look skinny as could be. So Mrs. Nut and Fancy and I felt sorry for him. We wanted to do our best to give him a place to live. And again, it went all to shit because of the skunk. So I made that promise on camera. I said, hey, I'm going to get this guy. He's dead one way or another. And so this is a follow-up video along with lessons learned. Okay, so here we go. How would I get rid of this skunk? The first thing I did is, since I'm not out there all the time, I was like, well, ideally I could shoot it, but that's going to be hard to do because I'm not out there all the time. I'm not sitting up all night long because these damn things are nocturnal. So I bought a skunk trap. I set that for 2.5 weeks and I caught ground squirrels out of it. I never caught that skunk. Here's one of the things I learned about the skunk. They ain't dumb. They're kind of smart. And also, my sister, Vera Linus, she's passed on now. She used to manage the project, helped me manage it many years ago here in TMP. But she had a descented pet skunk when I was a kid. And actually, it was a great pet. I love that thing. And it had really bad eyesight. And I learned then that skunks supposedly don't have good eyesight. One night, I was out at the shooting area, and I knew the skunk might come because I had it baited with dog food, and I had the alarm set up on the camera, okay? And so the planets aligned. He hadn't taken the trap. That was ineffective. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to go out, and I'm going to shoot this thing. I got out there. It's only a 100-yard shot. It's not that far. And I did a setup. I'm just putting my bog pot up, setting it up. And that bugger knew something was up. No lights came on. I was quiet. But he knew something was up. He could hear it. That dumb skunk. And he bolted over the hill. I couldn't get a shot. And I go, this thing's smart. This thing's very smart. He knows something's up. So they are distance aware. I found that out. The trap was not working. Had I given it more time, maybe it would have worked. But I had a whole batch of guns I had to test. I knew I'd be out there for probably 4 days. And I said, well, during this time, again, I'm going to set the alert up and it will go off on my phone and I'm going to prep and I'm going to try to shoot this thing and kill it. Then the question is what gun to use. I knew the range would be about 100 yards. And initially I thought about this one right here, which has taken many ground squirrels. Well, not many. Its kill is up to 5. It is a Ruger American 17 HMR with a Sparrow can on it. And this is a fantastic pest control gun. That's its primary philosophy of use. Watch for its review, probably here in the warehouse. And I just have an affordable Hawk air gun scope on it. Holy cow. But this has been taking squirrels. I'll roll in a photo or two of what it's been doing out here. Great gun. It's 8 pounds, 15 ounces, which is excellent because it settles the gun down as I shoot it. I decided, no, I'm not using that. Don't get me wrong. I'll shoot 17 HMR out to 150 yards, and that's probably about it. I said, I'm going to use an AR-15. What load to use? It's only 100 yards. I'm just going to use an FMJ. So this is what we're talking about. I could have got more cosmic, using expanding bullet. I didn't need to go with something, more like a 22 250. Not necessary. I don't have that anyhow. I'll just use an AR with FMJ. In fact, I'll use my Stag 3G, which I use as a test bed for optics with a Trek GMT suppressor on it. So I'm quiet, can get follow-up shots on it. And as you can see, I opted to use a Rattler V2. And I told you in the tabletop, this is what I was going to use to kill this thing. So I think I'm good to go, right? Well, not so quick. So the first night, alarm goes off. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm kind of asleep. And I go, oh shit, I need to get all my, sorry, I'm cussing. Oh heck, I need to get all my stuff ready. I didn't have anything prepped. Lesson 1, have all your stuff prepped. Your shoes, whatever you're going to throw on. Because I had to get out to the shooting place. It's not just like easy. I'm camping. It's hard to get to the point where I can shoot. So again, I get set up and that bugger knows I'm there and he goes over the hill and I missed a shot. I didn't take a shot, but I didn't have time. What I found out with him is I had basically 30 seconds from the time the alarm went off until I could take the shot with this damn skunk, which is really remarkable. And this is me having sprinkled like dog food down in front of the den, which I knew he loved. 30 seconds, that's all he's giving me. I know because I timed it. It's like, God, he just bite, and he's gone that quick. So I still have the alerts. I proved that was going to work. Now let's go back in a system sense. Let's park the skunk story for a little bit. Let's say you're going to airsoft and you're going to use your thermal device to airsoft and you have a perimeter you want to protect. The lessons I'm imparting to you now will still play. This is the big picture of this video. It's not so much about the skunk. You've got to have your stuff ready to go. Your system has to be zeroed. Your battery has to be charged. Your clothing has to be ready. If you are a perimeter defense dude, you've been tagged by your micro community or your airsoft council, you need to be ready to go. And you need to know where the points of invasion, we'll just use that term, are coming from. How long will it take for you to get set up? That's the stuff you need to dry run. You need to dry run it over and over again because I guarantee you, like me, you're going to screw it up. What did I tell you in the Rattler review? So I've done multiple AGM reviews. I did the Neath, the Rattler V1, Rattler V2, and there's more coming. And I've done other night vision devices. I said, you have to work with this stuff to get good at it. See these buttons on top? So I was on one of the attempts, I was trying to shoot the skunk. He was just cresting hill and I wanted to get the record function on. Now I think this has an auto record. It would have done, started recording with the first shot, but I wanted to start it before. This is the record button right here. This is the power button. So what does Nut and Fancy do? I don't really make sure that I'm hitting the right button and I'm getting ready to record, I need to take the shot. He's going over the hill. I pressed the power button and the whole damn thing turned off. Missed him. Missed the opportunity. This is what I'm talking about. And AGM, this is what I'm talking about. This needs to have a raised button on it, a gate. It's so easy to screw these up. And was I gloved then? No, I wasn't. It was just naked fingers. This is your zoom button. This changes your palettes. And by the way, I'm using the Fusion palette in the thermal devices. I have determined that is my favorite palette. Another lesson learned. But back to, you're a perimeter guy. Maybe you're sleeping. You're allowed to sleep. Ideally, you'd be patrolling, right? You're airsoft perimeter. And you're the dude, I don't know, you're the one tasked to defend the northwest west quadrant. That's different. You're ready to go. But again, practice, practice, practice. If you don't practice, you're absolutely going to suck. Here's another thing. Don't think you're going to take an AGM or whatever thermal device, especially with a can on it, and you're going to freehand shoot that skunk or something its size at 100 yards. It's not going to happen. You will absolutely miss. What I had to do is get the bog pod. And let me show you one that's in the Wolverine right here. And this is important. Holy cow, this thing's dirty. So the bog pod is a stand-up shooting tripod. It's coming out of the Wolverine, just filthy from testing. Anyways, this is how you're going to make a harder shot like that, because as I found out, that's actually not the easiest target to hit. Now, maybe you're magical, okay? And you're amazing, and you can freehand this. I'm not. I need stability. There's other ways to achieve it. Bipod, different shooting positions, kneeling position. But the skunk shot was over foliage, so I can't really use kneeling. Standing, I don't have enough stability. I need something. I could have used a bipod stick, but then I have to set those up. They make noise. He runs away. Bog pod. Now, going back to the airsoft thing. So if you're going to be protecting your airsoft perimeter, are you going to carry a huge bog pod with you and then set it up to make the shot? Of course not. You're going to use whatever's available at the time to make the shot. Maybe a tree, maybe a fence post, something to achieve stability, especially since this is going to be a heavier system. Okay. Now, getting back to the skunk. I know you guys are digging this. At least I think you will be. I did miss him. I shot one time. I don't know if I have video of that. And I'm talking video from the AGM, because it records and does actually quite a good job. And you're going to love this kill footage I'm going to show you here in the video. You're going to love it. I missed him with that shot. And here's another lesson learned. Oh my gosh, so many lessons. So I'm testing guns all the time. I grabbed a magazine, slammed it into the Stag 3G. And this was one of the times when I really wasn't prepped up. You would think I would have learned and gotten better. I finally did, but it took me a while. And this is a magazine I threw in the gun. Can you see it has mixed loads in it? There's Steel Wolf in there, and who knows what brass that is. Could be PMC, could be American Eagle, could be Winchester White Box. Who knows? Who knows? The reason I load it that way is because these are just loose rounds, and I use them for shooting steel. It wasn't really important. But Murphy's Law comes into play. And so what I did is I loaded this magazine. It stripped off a Wolf steel round. And this was not zeroed for Wolf. I shot and missed. And I'm going, what in the heck is going on? I know I zeroed this. And I didn't at the time know that I'd got the wrong magazine. Blah, blah, blah. Check your loads. What I had zeroed it for was this stuff right here. Range dynamics. So this is the stuff in this magazine. And you wouldn't think that it would matter that much. It matters. It matters, especially against a small target like the skunk. Yeah, so anyways, now we're getting refined. I get my system down, and here's how I did it. I had the bog pod set up. I even went as far as to clamp the damn AR-15 in the bog pod. It was raining one night. Rain all over the tent. I could hear it just falling. And I'm like, I don't care if this thing's waterproof. I will vouch for the waterproofness of the Rattler and the AR. They got drenched. for multiple nights. It was clamped in the bog pod with it raining because I said, I'm not going to run out, have to clamp up, tighten it. I only have 30 seconds to make this shot. Now, he didn't come during those rainy nights. I learned another thing. They don't really like to get wet, just like us. It came the next night. So I have my alert set up. And am I getting frustrated at this point? Not really. I'm just blaming myself because I should have known better. All the mistakes I was making, I should have known. The speed into action, I should have known. Prepping my ammo, I should have known. Double checking it, I should have known. Having all my stuff ready. All that was on me. I was just praying he'd come back. And by the way, during this time, and I have not seen the foxes come back for, well, months at this point, which is very sad. What I'm trying to do is clear the den area out. And hopefully one day they return and set up camp and I will be their overwatch, so to speak. Just like in U.S. Navy SEALs. I'll be the overwatch, hopefully protecting them. So I'm sound asleep. This is about, a week ago. I was just sleeping. Ding! Alarm goes off. Not the alarm, but the alert goes off on the camera. I'm like, oh gosh. But this time I'm ready. I throw on my pants, quick shirt. I get out there, my gun is already in the vise, and I have the buttons practiced. I turn on the thermal, powering up, good to go. And sure as heck, I see the skunk. I can't tell you how happy I was. It was the end of a long and arduous goal. I am going to kill this fucker. If it's the last thing I do, I made that promise to you. I hit 2 power or whatever it is, 3 power, enlarged it, and you're going to see the kill footage here in just a second. I'm not going to overlay it because it's too good to talk over. And I just calm down, no buck fever. I'm just like, I'm going to kill this thing. Crosshairs dead on, trigger squeeze. And this is what happened. I'm going to first show you the thermal imagery out of the Rattler V2 in fusion overlay mode. And then I'm going to show you the camera, the wildlife camera. And you can see actually, and I'm not relishing this, how that poor creature, I'm just going to say poor creature, how he died that night. Here we go. So it appears that the AR-15, the Stag 3G suppressed with a Rattler V2, got the job done. That skunk got wasted. Now, I do not relish saying that. Again, I don't like killing things, but I had already done my unlock codes for the shot. This is another important lesson. You do it before you find yourself in that situation. Your airsoft game. Think through the morality of it. Am I justified? Do I need to do this? Is there another way to do it? I tried trapping, didn't work. So I had already done all that. That being said, I still don't like seeing him die. I don't like it. Now, my job, if I'm going to do that, is to make it as quick as possible so he does not suffer. A humane kill. And I think I did that. Now, when you see the video, you might think, and I thought this too, that I missed the first shot. I don't think I did. I think the first round went right through his head. Second round went right through the body. I think I fired, 3 times. I think all made hits. Another lesson learned, and I've said this in the tabletop reviews, is the 5.56 is still, in 55 grain, a pea shooter. Kind of. It's a pea shooter. I was amazed that the first round didn't take him out. I thought he'd just be decimated, doing somersaults, Hollywood style. That did not happen. And so I sent a couple more just to make sure. And then sadly, he rolls down the hill. You saw that. Again, I'm not relishing this. I don't really like it, but it had to be done. And the morality we've discussed already. Lessons learned. Thermal is it. I've said this before. I like thermal for its simplicity. You can see that it works just fine. And again, I'm not showing anything that's groundbreaking. There's all types of wild boar hog hunting down in Oklahoma and Texas. There's a bazillion videos out there that show them with thermal devices getting it done. I'm just saying and reiterating to you, my audience, that you might want to think about getting thermal. It does not need an IR illuminator. It's very easy to use. One thing I'm lacking on this gun is a daylight sight, probably a 45-degree offset red dot. Just something where I can use the gun in the daytime. And yes, thermal can work that way, but it is not ideal. That digital Neath by AGM is a much better option. Again, links for all this are below. Buy with confidence. I mean, seriously. The battery life on the V2 is amazing. I talked about that in the tabletop review. Has a proprietary battery. And I really tested it. I mean, there were times in this hunt that I would just leave the unit on with not an auto turn off. And I was like, well, I just want to be ready. I'll tell you that it lasts just like they said it would. I will say this, I didn't do it in wintertime. So in wintertime, the battery life is going to be less, no doubt. Another thing, identifying your target is more difficult than I thought, at least with something like the Skunk. And you may look at this and go, how could that be? I mean, you should see it easily. Well, with all these digital devices, to include the Rattler, what's the other one? The Taipan. Of course, that's not a weapon sight. Or the knife. You're going to get pixelation if you zoom. Because all it's doing is zooming the pixels of your screen. That may or may not help. You might wonder, I can't remember if in that video, but there was one of the videos where I was hesitating to shoot because I was trying to really make sure that it was the Skunk. I didn't want to shoot a cat. We do have wild cats out here, but again, they're beneficial. There's no death warrant issued for wildcats. There's no death warrant issued for raccoons around here. Maybe your property is different. You hate raccoons. They're causing problems. I get it. But for us, at this point, I'm not going to be killing raccoons just for the heck of it. I'm going to roll in video while I'm talking, by the way, of me looking at what turned out to be a raccoon. I didn't think it was a skunk, and I'm going thermal on it. And again, I'm making this point that sometimes it's going to be hard to identify what you're looking at if you go to 2, 3, especially 4 power and above. And if you stay in just wide view, it's also harder. Even though it's clearer, you're not going to see a lot of detail. You're going to have to practice with this. Okay, if you're airsofting, for instance, you want to make sure the bad guy's a bad guy. And you better have some protocol in place to make sure that good guys don't get shot in your airsoft game. You get me? And while I was doing this, I told you this is bigger than the Skunk. I'm thinking this like, oh my gosh, shooting targets is one thing, but shooting creatures and making sure you know what you're looking at is your target, 2 different things. You better identify your target and do it properly. Preferably, you'll be in a 2 deep or more team, and you'll have another technology to help you with that. Maybe it will be just a regular scope, regular optics, maybe a digital night vision camera, and you two can help say, yeah, that's our Skunk. But it was interesting that it finally dawned on me what I was looking at, and I was like, that's a dang raccoon. He's eaten there by the den. And again, as you saw, no shot. No need to kill a raccoon out where I'm at. Again, maybe your mileage may vary. I talked about the buttons, button confusion, work through that, practice it. I talked about how it's rainproof. and having a day sight on the side. And then I'll end with this. If you are serious about having full capabilities, especially in a micro community, and if you don't know what that means, it means if we go into without rule of law, I don't want you guys to do it on your own. You're going to establish a rule of law of some sort, and it will be based on your micro community. It might be 10 members from your neighborhood, might be 100 members. You'll have a council. You'll have different people who are in charge of different tasks in that micro community. One of them will be security. You'll have rules of engagement, and this will all go through the filter of the micro community, so you know what the rules of engagement are. When do we engage? At what point are we authorized to use lethal force? And all we're doing is just temporarily setting up a rule of law. So you're not doing it on your own. That's like the worst thing you could do, is doing it on your own. And maybe you will be a one-person micro community. I feel sorry for you if that's your situation. But it is what it is. Maybe you'll have to make the determination yourself. Now, when rule of law comes back, as I anticipate it would, all those shots and all the things that will have transpired will probably be brought up again. And you want to be able to say, hey, I had all the unlock codes from my micro community. Our team did. We went exactly by our rules of engagement. We used minimal force. We negotiated whenever possible. And that's what we want. We want to never use these actually. These are last resort. And that's kind of how I feel with the skunk, that it's a last resort that I had to use this bugger, which you may go, what the heck? I could have let the trap go for longer, but because of my schedule, I just don't have all the time in the world to mess around with this issue. Now, here's the deal. Getting back to the skunk side of the video, there's another one out there. He also has a death warrant issued against him because he has been coming by the dens as well. And this one is smart, just like the last one. I'm using the trap for other areas on the property, but I'll probably try to trap him as well. I'm not giving up on trapping. It's just being able to check the trap. Because again, I don't want him to suffer. I don't want him to be in that trap for like a week. That's not right. You have to be humane about it. Okay, so there you go. Lessons learned from the skunk kill, but as you can see, it translates into your airsoft game too. It translates into your micro community. Okay, you should understand that, and since it's a big issue, get your stuff, practice with it. Even if you don't mount it on a gun, just play with your thermal devices, and if you at all possible can, go out on a property somewhere where you can actually shoot them and really learn them, because whatever's going to go wrong will go wrong. It did with me. It will with me in the future. Thanks so much to the donors to the Nut and Fancy Project. They are the ones that make all this possible. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Become a donor. The link is below. It's in Patreon. Still going for now. Has been for quite some time. And I got to be honest, Patreon hasn't messed with me at all. YouTube, on the other hand, has messed with me a lot. And they have deleted many of my videos, and it's quite possible they'll nuke this one too for whatever reason, even though it's about pest control. But it could happen. So join my Rumble account. I do have Nut and Fancy Rumble. You should be a participant over there, and I'm posting more videos over there. And if you're not a donor, thanks for clicking on the video. Sub, hit the notification bell, and best of luck to you in your skunk hunting. And before we leave, I need to show you a couple cool things. The Warrior X Turbo is the light of choice still to this day. If you really want a super bright light. Oh, by the way, Olight did not pay me to say this. I bought this, and I had it engraved. This one says Nut and Fancy on it somewhere. There it is right there. They'll engrave it for you, too. They don't do it just for me. Yeah, this thing's awesome. Now, on this system, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense because I don't need it for the thermal. And I'm glad I picked this up and was talking about it, because I also tried to make a shot, and let me tell you this, with the Neath. So it was a 1022. It was early in my skunk hunting, and the Neath is on the Ruger 1022 in Detroit chassis. It has one of these on there, and as soon as I turned on the white light, Skunk booked it. He didn't like that at all. He was out of there. And I know you can use red light. Maybe that would have helped, but everything's time setting it up, and I was just like, no, I got the Rattler. I'll just use that. And then the gun of choice, if they get close enough before I send you off, is the Colt Gold Cup 45 ACP. Didn't see that coming, did you? What a machine. One of the best 45s ever made, in my opinion. Watch for the tabletop review. The Colt Gold Cup. Oh my goodness, look at that blue one, dudes. Okay, now we're really done. You can leave the theater. We'll see you next time. Happy shooting. Check your loads. Make sure you're shooting the right stuff. Over and out.